So I'm 33 years old. So I have this story that I've told many times at this point about how the past 10 years of my life have gone, where I'm at in my life, where I'm at in my career, when I get to know somebody or when I start on a job or whatever. And so I have these familiar beats to my story that I've honed, the path of the story, I have the structure of the story, and each time that I tell it, sort of, I get flashes of memory from my life. And what I've noticed is that I am carving this groove in my mind every time that I tell the story, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And I really feel that my brain discards the things that don't fit into that narrative. So sometimes I am surprised when I come across videos that don't fit the narrative that I told. It shows me the way that something is that is more complex than what I've been saying. An example of this is, so I posted a short recently of behind the scenes of a big thing that I was part of when I was on 911 Lone Star. Because I came across it. It's from the end of 2021, and there's a certain story in my head of how that show went, the people that I met, and there's little highlights that stick out. And that really wasn't one of the highlights, but now that I see the video, all these memories come back to me, right? It also makes me think of how I released this song called Baton Rouge Blues, which was about my time spent on a TV show a few years ago where there was a tone that hung over that experience. I had a tough time on that show, being homesick, being in the high humidity and the swamp, all these things that I was going through that I put into the song, Salud. But then, of course, when I really think about certain days or I see memories of certain days, there was all sorts of colors to that experience, right? And so I think it's interesting how we really, the way that we decide to structure our narrative really does kind of rewrite history for ourselves. And we're doing it to ourselves, you know? But the reason I go into all of this is because I realize that there are a lot of memories that I feel that I have discarded because it doesn't fit in this story that I've built for myself. Part of my story that I built for myself is that I'm continuously like starting from zero, having to start over. I think that I've had a self-defeating attitude toward myself based on discarding a lot of cool memories, cool things that have happened to me that I've been able to be a part of. And I want to stop doing that. I think that some people naturally have a better ability to hold on to those really positive, really interesting things that they've been a part of and build on that and maintain a high self-esteem because of that. There's an example I'm going to bring up now. A disclaimer to this example: I am not a Kanye West fan. I denounce everything that he has become the past few years. But one thing that still sort of lives rent free in my mind from a long time ago is a story that Dave Chappelle used to tell, which is that when he was first really rising, coming into the public eye, was when Chappelle's show was on the air, and Dave Chappelle invited him to see like an episode either before it was finished or before it was released. And so Kanye West is there and watches it, and somebody calls him, and he answers, and he starts saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just here with Dave Chappelle watching an unreleased episode of Chappelle's show because my life is dope and I do dope shit." And I thought, he's telling that to himself 100% just as much as he's telling it to somebody else. Like, it's a funny thing to say and it sounds funny, and that's why it makes a good story. But it also really speaks to that inner psyche that he was in at the time, of projecting and telling himself that he is interesting, he's talented, that he deserves all these things. And not that outward success is the be all end all, not at all. You have to find it within yourself. but he had from a very early time that story. He'd already constructed that story for himself. And while I don't think that we should all be like Kanye West, I think it's just a little, we could borrow a morsel and we can be grounded with that still, and we can run it through our own filter, our own ethics, and see how that applies to our own life. Tell ourselves this positive story for whatever we want in life. I started seeking more spirituality in my life lately and thinking myself more as a spiritual person, thinking of myself as somebody who can recognize a certain layer of reality, something that's deeper than what we see on the surface level. And I really feel like it's working, and it's all because of this story. But you have to believe it. I, for a long time, could not believe a lot of positive, and still a lot of times cannot believe positive aspects of the story. So that's my challenge for you.